Hi, everyone. Welcome to the 10th Create It and Crush It Masterclass. Today we have Olivia Chapman here. Thanks for being here, Liv.
Hi, I'm excited.
So, Olivia is talking to us today about the top 3 ways to get referrals and grow your business. She is my favorite person to talk to about this because she has completely built her business based on referrals. She started her business pre-Facebook group craziness, and has a lot of wisdom to share with us here. So let me just introduce you a little bit, Olivia, and then I'll let you kind of tell us your background. But Olivia is a life and business coach, and she partners with her clients to cultivate the belief that they can create the life they want, turn that belief into their reality, and ultimately support them in building a purposeful and profitable business. She is also the director of coach training at Inner Glow Circle, an internationally recognized life and business coach training program. So she has a ton of wisdom to offer us, and we're so happy you're here.
Yay, I'm happy to be here. I'm really excited. I feel like a dinosaur in the online business world sometimes when people are like, how'd you get your first client? And I was like, I asked people for referrals. Like, what? And so this is like something I think not a lot of people are talking about. So I'm really excited to kind of break it down. And it's like super easy, but it's also super valuable. So
definitely. And I think it's also super applicable. So just because like we've evolved and there are Facebook groups now and all these other things, like relationships and referrals still matter, right? It's not like those things don't matter. So
yeah.
All right, start by just kind of giving us, a quick rundown of like who you are, your background, how you got here, your dinosaur age.
I know it's really funny saying that you've been in business for like 4 years now is a long time. And my dad will easily put me in check right away and be like, you're still a baby and you have no idea what you're doing.
Definitely.
He's joking, but still. 4 years in like the online coach world feels like a long time. And as I told you, Lacey, like sometimes I'm just like confused a little bit, like how things have shifted. And obviously like part of me even working with you was like, okay, I'm like an ace at filling my private practice. I like built my whole business on referrals, but now there's this whole other game I have to play around, like more and more online marketing, Facebook groups, podcasts, content, all this stuff. Right. And so, but there's still so much value in the way that I've run my business. And you asked for a little bit of background. So like, I started coaching after my career as a teacher. I developed a coaching program for teen girls. It took off, and all of those concepts led me to a coach training program where I got certified. And eventually, over the course of about 3 months, I had left my job and was coaching full time. And I did that not through Facebook groups because believe me, I had looked at the time, I was like Googling everywhere, like where are people like me? There's no one like me in the world. And of course it was like totally poor me syndrome. And I like really felt bad for myself that I was like such a good entrepreneur and no one was like me. But no, there weren't Facebook groups then. I remember joining one and it was like very inactive and, no one really, there wasn't much conversation or anything. And so I actually ended up like for the social aspect and like growing my business, a little bit more online based than referrals. I had joined herfuture.com, which was Gabby Bernstein networking site because I was really into her books and her message. And so I did start connecting with a lot of other service providers there. And then, eventually did start a Facebook group, which has also been, super beneficial and valuable. But my first clients ultimately came from me literally talking about what I do all the time, everywhere I go, letting people know about what I do.
She still does, by the way.
Which I still do. I'm like, let's go out and talk to people. Lacey and I live in the same city for those of you watching it. So I'm always trying to get her to come play in the social world with me, like Saturday. So that's how we do it. And part of what I teach in referral, or like when I talk to my clients, especially about getting referrals, is like, they're everywhere. It's like your Uber driver's daughter's best friend. It's your ex-college roommate's sister. I mean, it was a person I used to babysit's next door neighbor. Like they're everywhere. They're at the dog park. Like we must embody and start talking about what we're doing.
I actually got a referral from an Uber driver, and it was like an amazing client. It was perfect and awesome. But yes, I totally agree with you.
They're everywhere.
And really what would have been easier, right? Because you know me, I'm super fucking introverted, right? It would have been so much easier to like be in that Uber and be like on my phone and like whatever, not paying attention. But like that
Mhm.
engagement is like what gets you clients, right? Being willing to talk.
Totally. And I think on a spiritual level or on a being level, it is you really like embodying who you are in all places. Like, you know, some people have a hard time being visible online. And some people have a hard time like being really visible or embodying who they are in person. But I think it's like coming full force in your own life by being able to do both. And I know a lot of my new coaches, like in training and new clients, like, yeah, but my friends, like, they don't get what I do and my family doesn't. I'm like, I get it. Like, I think my grandma still thinks I'm a teacher and like, you know, she doesn't get it. But everyone in your life is not completely like out on their own island. Like they have some level of understanding, or they've talked to someone who's looking for different services or different levels of support. And so, you know, just it goes back to too, like the more confident you are in who you're being, the more confident people will be in you and whatever you're after. So
Definitely. And like, even if you are someone that like primarily markets on Facebook and through ads or whatever, like it still does something for your business to show up with that confidence level in your life, right?
oh yeah. Yeah. I think I always laugh because I'm like, every time I like, if I go to a bar or if I go to a party or if I go even to like the nail salon or wherever and people ask me what I do, I'm like, you know, go into it and I explain it. And there's so many questions like, I've never heard of this. This actually works. People do stuff like this. And then I go on Facebook and my entire news feed is people doing the same thing. And I'm like, oh my God, I don't stand out. Like, I just fit in with the crowd. But like in real life, people actually are really interested and they don't have this experience. And I often say, like, sometimes we are, you know, other people's access point to personal development, to spirituality, to business development, or whatever it is. And it's a disservice not to talk about it.
Absolutely. And I love what you said that, like, I think, you know, I've had clients say to me, like, oh, I feel like the market is saturated. I'm like, have you told someone at a grocery store what you do lately? Because you will very quickly realize that the market is not saturated. And I think you're exactly right. Like, we have clients sitting in front of us and then we're just like hovering in this little world and we're like, the market is saturated, but really like our opportunities are all around us all the time.
Everywhere. Totally. And even like, it's our responsibility too. Like, especially if you're, you know, like on a mission, which is like, for me, it's really to allow people to see the opportunity to create more purpose and more passionate lives. And it's like, it's a disservice for me to not share that with other people, whether it's like recommending a book they read or having them get on a free live call or download something from my website. Like, all of that stuff is some people's access point to a whole nother level of being that they have not had experience with yet. And we forget that in our saturated little coach world of Facebook, the wild, wild west, as
Yes.
we call it.
The wild, wild west. Yes, exactly. That's so true. So, okay, that was kind of like, we sort of got into your background a little, but talk to me about like at the beginning of your business, like how did you build that referral network? Like, what did that look like for you at the beginning? You're going out, you're telling people, they're telling people, like, what did that look like?
So, definitely just talking about it naturally, right? So like, to whoever I was with at the time, that's part of it. But the other thing was like, I emailed and I contacted people in my network. So friends from college, friends from high school, people in my family who had an email address. Like, some of them don't, like my older, like aunts, uncles, grandmas, like some of them aren't even in this world, but like people in my family who I knew, you know, would be able to read, open, and respond to the email. And I let them know what I was doing. I said, like, hey, here's what's happening. If you know anyone who, at the time I was way more into like the life and the career coaching side of things. And I was like, if you know anyone who's like going through a breakup or who, you know, hates their job or who is feeling like uninspired, like, please connect us via email. I would love to gift them, you know, a 30-minute sample coaching session. That's done. Did that all the time. Updated my LinkedIn. That was a big one too. I got a lot of referrals from LinkedIn when I first started. I think I don't spend as much time on LinkedIn now, guilty as charged, although I did just get a referral from there on Monday, so a little bit of time on LinkedIn. but, you know, staying in contact and sending out some personal emails through LinkedIn to, you know, to people a little bit, like I don't have their personal email, but letting them know via LinkedIn message, like what I was up to now. And I would ask for the leads to be shared with me via email so that I had their email as well. So we were connected in the same email. It wasn't like, oh, sure, I'll tell them about it. And then I never heard from anyone again. So a little strategy involved. And I know I talk about Frederick Eklund's book, The Cell, all the time. And everyone's like, stop talking about it. But he says, I can say fuck on here, but he's like, fuck business cards. He's like, don't just give people your business card. If anything, only take theirs or take their email and you follow up with them right away. Especially when it comes to personal development, people get excited about it and then they get scared as shit and they don't do anything with your information. So I was always, you know, making sure that I got my referrals contact information and could really take the lead on the follow-up myself.
I love that. And I also think that like I want to like commend you, because I think that what happens is that feels scarier sometimes than just getting visible on Facebook, right? Yeah. Asking your personal referral network, asking people for referrals, telling them how to give them to you, and then having to follow up with those referrals. So while it's like easy in some ways, it's also very brave. So I think there's like two pieces there, right?
Totally. And it's also very direct, which I did have to receive a lot of my own coaching around. I can't deny that like my coach wasn't a major support during this time. Like I was terrified. I was like, oh my God, I'm like an elementary school teacher. Who am I to do this? And then it was finally just like, enough's enough. Like ego aside, like if I want to make this happen, I have to do something. And like, I get it. Posting on Facebook is super valuable, but it's also super passive. You're not really asking anyone for anything. You're opening a conversation. And so I find that to get hired, especially in one-on-one services, you don't generally do that through a Facebook post. It's done through a conversation or a phone call. So if I can set up conversations, I can get hired. And I think that's also the value in referrals. If you're setting up conversations with people who are from trusted people in your life, you're way more likely to get on the phone with them and have a pretty powerful conversation.
Definitely, right? Like the Facebook post, the content, all of that is to like open a conversation and eventually take it further. Yeah. But you're like skipping that step altogether when you have a referral, right? Because you don't have to do that. Like you have a different way that you're opening that conversation.
Yeah, definitely. And at first, like my goal was to get out of my old job. It wasn't to spend a year building an online reputation, which is super valuable and which I have done in the past 3 years. My goal was to get hired as many times as possible, supplement my income, and get the fuck out of there. So in order to do that, it took a lot of direct action.
Definitely. Okay. So tell us kind of like so what I usually ask on here is like, how has community and support helped you in achieving that? So I think maybe we could talk about for a second how, like you were mentioning your coach then, right? How did like community and support help you in growing your business and receiving these referrals? And then we can kind of start talking about like, what are the top 3 things that
totally do. So I kind of touch on this in like step 3 that I'm going to talk to you about, but I mean, community and support, like at the time, my community, when it came to like entrepreneurs, wasn't very big. I did often feel like I was alone. At the time I was living in DC, and there was a bit of a bigger entrepreneurial world available there, I think, comparatively, but I could be wrong. I don't really know. But I did do some like local events. So I had, let me think. I remember doing like one, literally like it was like a pop-up event where we set up a stand that I had a quiz. It was called Would I Benefit from a Life Coach? I handed it out to everyone there. I told there was their results on the back, and it was a free consultation with me. So like I was getting involved in my local community at that point, doing presentations for the staff at the school that I had worked at. My community was super local when I first started. Now with the online support community, it's like I can go into any Facebook group and be like, help me, and everyone does, right? But I also had a really powerful coach at the time who had also built a business in a really similar way. Like, again, she had been a coach for a couple years before me, so was very much before, a lot of Facebook groups and so forth. And so she really guided me, down this path too. And then I think that I can't even think of what other supports I really had. Not enough. And that's like part of the reason I'm affiliated with Inner Glow Circle now, who says, work for yourself, but not by yourself, because I can work for myself within this community. But I'm never really alone in what I'm doing, which is great. So
beautiful. I love that. Okay, cool. So top 3 steps for getting referrals. Let's kind of dive in there. What is step 1?
Okay, step 1, I kind of told you guys I did this. Emailing your friends, your family, your past prospects, and even clients. Like anyone in your life who trusts you and who obviously knows you well enough to refer you, right? So someone actually asked me earlier, like, what's the difference between a referral partnership or referral network, referral marketing and affiliate marketing? And the real difference here is that referrals are personal relationships, right? Like they don't necessarily have a monetary reward tied to them, which, is people often do. Like I always will send a gift if someone sends me a high-end one-on-one client. But it's not contractual, and it's not, you have to share 6 times on social media and you make 20 or 50%. It's more of like, this is my go-to business coach. Here she is, or, go-to graphic designer, whatever, and refer it out that way. So emailing friends, family, anyone in your network, similarly to how I explained before, like, hi, what's up? Obviously make it personalized based on how you know them and who they are. And, telling them what you're up to, a few concrete examples. I know, especially in the coaching world, sometimes we're like, we use very like woo-woo terminology, which is great and I'm down for, but sometimes our, people in our lives may not get that. So I try to give really concrete examples. Like I help people who are their first year in business learn how to sell, for example. So like I give a few concrete examples of who I'm looking to work with. And then I say, can you connect us via email? And I probably do that a couple times a year, the request email, at least. Maybe even more than that, definitely more than that at first. But like kind of once you establish those relationships too, people just start sending you connections and referrals. So
yeah, and I think that's really important too, to like make it known that you're looking for them or need them, right? Like I think sometimes people just think everything's fine, like, or you're full, or you don't need a referral or whatever. So it's like if you're not making it known, people aren't going to just like assume that's what you
yeah.
You have to be so direct about asking for it and telling people, right? Like you said, even your clients, like sometimes your clients might think you're full. So how can you make it known? Like I'm available to take on a couple clients right now.
Yeah. And
way, right?
Totally. And especially at the beginning when you do have, when you really are trying to build up your one-on-one practice, people need the reminder too. I mean, I get requests from, my colleagues all the time, and I need that, even though I know exactly what you do or exactly what, the other person does. Like, I like to see that reminder of like, hey, I actually have spots open in my one-on-one practice, or I'm taking on new graphic design clients or whatever. I'm like, oh, good. Cause I forget. So coming from someone who needs the reminder, like it's always great just to remind people, who you are in business, who you're looking to work with, and how they can connect you.
Definitely. Love that. Okay. So just kind of reaching out, making it really obvious, making it really known. And like, what is your tip there if somebody's like, that feels super uncomfortable to me. Like, I'm so fearful about that. I really don't want to share this with my family. Besides, like, what would be your tip around like overcoming that a little bit?
My tip would be, first of all, don't do it if there's an ick factor. Nothing that you execute from ick is going to get you anywhere. People are going to read the energy and they're going to be creeped out, and you're not going to reap the rewards of a great referral system or referral partner. I think like in this sense, like exploring part of yourself explore the part of yourself that's doubting you, right? Like everyone's a mirror. If you're doubting yourself, or if you are getting doubt from others, take a look at yourself here. And also just get over yourself. This is what I always say to my clients too. Like, if you're really acting as CEO and leader, are you going to sit bashfully behind your computer and be like, I'm afraid? No, you're going to be like, yo, I'm a boss. Here's what I have going on. Here's what I need from you. Like, it's a whole different energy when you really own the fact that you're CEO of a company. CEOs do not hold back. yes, you can be feminine and graceful about it. Of course, you don't have to say yo, but own it, like own your business and own how proud and confident you are in it. And it really does take away some of that fear.
Definitely. And I'd also say too, I don't know if you think this is true, but like this stuff is uncomfortable because we've never done it a lot of the time, right?
Yeah.
So it's just like, have you ever asked for a referral before? Okay, well, that's maybe why it feels uncomfortable, right? Doing anything for the first time is slightly uncomfortable. So it's kind of like, is the ick factor so intense that like you just can't bring yourself to do it? And like Liv said, that it's going to come across weird? Or do you just kind of need to push yourself a little because at the end of the day, like you've just never done this before?
Yeah. And I think you can clear that, right? Like, you know, in coaching, we talk about like clearing the fear out of the space before you move into execution. And like that can be done. It can be done with like a quick choosing how you want to think about the situation. I think if it's something that you're putting off and putting off and putting off, I mean, the bigger picture here is that you're ultimately leaving out an entire market of people that could potentially change their lives by working with you, or change their business by purchasing your service, or whatever it is. So like with that in mind, like why would you not, do the work and move the fear out of the space? But it's not the only way. Not everyone is going to market in the same way, and that's okay. There's certain things that I won't do marketing wise. I even wrote an entire ebook on it, Make Your Own Rules Marketing, where I'm like, don't do it if it feels weird. But at the same time, like you are leaving a lot of people out by not, welcoming people into your space. And so I think like if you're looking at the bigger why and your bigger mission, that can kind of help inspire you to just go for it and just execute.
Definitely. It's like, what's the thing here? Like, is the desire to serve bigger than this like fear that's coming up around it? And I think that makes a ton of sense. Okay, so number 2, what's the second tip for?
So the second one is a little more complex, but it's something that I've built up quite a bit over the past year. It wasn't my initial thing, but it's become a thing as the online marketplace and colleagues and connections have really expanded. So creating strategic partnerships in your business. Now, this leans definitely more towards the affiliate side of things, depending on how you create these structures in your business. But the way I think of it is like, I'm a business coach. My clients don't just need a business coach in the course of their business, right? Like they are going to need a website designer, a graphic artist, a branding expert, perhaps. They may need, oops, I just lost sorry, I'm back. My computer I didn't touch it for a while, so it
like started.
So they would need other services, a copywriter. Oh God, let me think of another one. I mean, I even have like an accountant, complementary services to what I provide, things that I don't do, but a business owner who's expanding their business would potentially need. And so I've created a lot of strategic partnerships with other service providers. So some of them are exclusive, meaning like I'm the only business coach they refer clients to, and they're the only accountant that I refer clients to. And there's a like fee structure involved. So it might be a flat rate, it might be a percentage, but having kind of like a modern day Rolodex of people that you refer out to and also receive referrals from.
Yeah, definitely. And I also think that like makes you a more valuable coach, right? Because you have people and connections, whether they're paid or not, right, to refer your clients to that you've tested and trust. And that makes you more valuable in your business because you can make these connections.
Totally. And it's, I'm not about it necessarily for the money. I think I like do a pretty good job at screening my referral partners and making sure that like I let my clients know, like this is a referral partner I work with and she's excellent and blah, blah, blah. And letting them know, just like with affiliates, like I may make a commission from this.
Yeah.
it also, like, in terms of being a strategic businesswoman, which I like to think that I am, I also make a little bit of like what I call semi-passive income this way, right? So if I'm referring 3 clients a month to my accountant, I'm going to be making like, X amount of money without really doing anything. And if we are really looking to create sustainable businesses, we have to have business models that do not just rely on one stream of income. And so you are, potentially setting yourself up with another income stream, and also referrals coming your way, as well as being able to better support your own clients. So it's just like multi-beneficial.
Yeah, definitely. And I also think that as you grow and as you expand, it makes sense. Like, I talk about this around Create It and Crush It. Like, we want to be the rising tide that is lifting all ships, right? That's why we're doing these master classes, because we all have unique skill set to bring to the table. And when we put them together, we all rise. So like your accountant, for example, like, yeah, he's, paying you, but like you're also giving him a client that he doesn't have to pay for marketing for.
Mm-hmm.
And that gives him a steady stream of clients. So it's like really that rising tide that is like lifting all boats, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's just so many benefits of like maintaining these relationships and creating really, they are profitable relationships, obviously. But I think like part of the point that I maybe have skipped over, it's like you also really, really want these people to be, trusted and be operating on the same vibration as you are, and, have similar beliefs and morals. I mean, I know that it's like, as I said, like Facebook is the wild, wild west. So if you're immediately like, I want this referral partner and this one, like, oh yeah, go after it. But also make sure people are really aligned with your values, because your clients choose you because they're aligned with you. And so we want to make sure that we're also referring out people who are aligned as well.
Definitely. And I know for me, like when I refer out, one of the things that's kind of important is that I've worked with them in some capacity, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's what else you're saying too, right? Is like, so my accountant, for example, like you were saying, like, I've worked with him, I trust him, like I know he does good work. So when I'm referring him, it's not like, hope that goes well. It's like, I know it will because I've experienced it, right?
Totally. And it's, either I won't generally reach out to like a stranger, more or less. Mm-hmm. It's usually a connection, like a second connection, or someone who I already know and have worked with.
Yeah.
And that's part of, it's part of creating something, again, that's also sustainable. You do not want to bring anyone into your realm that's going to potentially screw you over. Not that everyone doesn't make mistakes, but like I'm in sustainable business. I'm not trying to have any messiness that's going to steer me off course. So,
Definitely. I love that. And I also think that that's a great way to build your brand and your relationship, as you were mentioning, like having, what did you call it? I can't remember what you called it, but basically having like a dual referral partnership, right? Where like, what did you call it?
Oh, like an exclusive partnership.
Yeah. Exclusive. Where like it goes both ways, right? Like I know having that in my business has helped me a lot, because like that person can leverage their network, I can leverage mine, mm-hmm. and we're both winning in those scenarios, right?
Yeah. And it's, the terms of something like that are pretty simple. It's easy to set up. And as long as they're two trusted parties, it generally, like you said, it like works very well. You're both benefiting from it. And it's also just another lead source for you and for them. I know, like, like we said, like Facebook is not the only way. Your opt-in is not the only way. There are, hundreds of people on a little bit more of a personal, intimate level that are willing to support you, and vice versa. So.
Definitely. Okay. So if I'm new in business and I'm sitting here thinking like, how do these work? Like, do you usually have contracts? Do you kind of just go based on an agreement? Do you recommend that? Obviously, you're not a lawyer. We're not giving legal recommendations.
Thank God.
If you were not, right? If one of my clients is a lawyer, so I feel like I have to say that for her now, because on all her stuff, it's like, this is not.
Oh yeah, disclaimer.
Legal advice.
You put one across the bottom of the screen here. Disclaimer: Olivia is definitely not a lawyer. My dog is sneezing in the background to excuse her.
But what is your recommendation around that? Like, do you typically have like a written agreement around a lot of these, and how do you approach that?
So when it comes to like really personal relationships, clients, and when I say past prospects too, I mean like not everyone we get on a discovery call is going to want to work with us. It doesn't mean I still don't follow up with them and talk to them and see how they are. But so, when it comes to clients, past prospects, friends and family, I don't have like a formal agreement. I think that's what the value of a referral is. Like, they're not doing it because they want to be paid. They're doing it because they love me and they love what I have to offer. And sometimes I send a gift, like depending on what they sign up for and how many referrals they've sent me, it varies. And it's generally not like set in stone, but I send something as like, a gift of my appreciation. Just like many other companies do. Mm-hmm. My dad's in like the heating and cooling business, and he's like, I sent him a new air conditioner. I was like, that's weird, but okay. Some people send air conditioners.
Yeah.
It can happen. Stop. Sorry. Vivi can you hear her? She's like very much whimpering in the background. I think there's dinner being served in the other room.
Yeah. That's like the thing here. My dogs are always barking. Somebody's dogs are barking. It's fine.
Yeah. I'm always apologizing for either like a baby yell or a dog cry. So, oh gosh, I totally lost my train of thought.
Yeah, so you were kind of just saying like gifts for like, people that are in your realm and real close to you.
Yeah, and when I have a more structured referral partnership with another service provider, I have a basic contract that I had created by my lawyer like a couple of years ago, and I basically just edit it depending on either the fee structure that we decide upon and the person and the service provided and whether it's exclusive or not. Although, again, I'm not giving legal advice because I don't know, but I have gone into referral partnerships with people before without a signed contract, and they're trusted friends. They're people I've been, doing business with, or I've done group coaching programs with in the past, and I trust them. And, they're not necessarily exclusive, but it's pretty much a set thing that like, if you refer someone to me, I give you 10%, and that, that's how it is. So I don't want to, I'm sure a lawyer is probably like, that's such a bad idea, but I go.
The point is you can start somewhere, right? Like it's not like you have to go and have this be a super formal thing and don't ask anybody until you know how formal it is and have all this stuff. It's like, just start setting up these relationships.
Yeah, right? Totally. And this is it's a little interesting because I do know a lot of people who will invite people to, discovery calls or consultations straight up. And this is almost like one step away from that, right? So you're not necessarily directly asking people for their business. You're asking them for someone else. And so I don't know. I think it's even a little less scary, no matter how you look at it. But
definitely, especially if you're offering them something in return, right? Then it's definitely less scary because you're like, here's how I can help you and here's how I would love to be supported.
Yeah. And there's, like I mentioned, like with setting up a contract, like you want to look at like the service that you provide and they provide, and then like figuring out, like I know monthly coaching packages are not often paid in full, they're often paid monthly. And so you can kind of like say like, I'm going to give you 5% now, 5% at the end of the contract. Like, there's things like that you can work out eventually, but you'll get there. Like I think the best way to start is to just access your personal network and say like, hey guys, here's what I'm doing. And start there. And then, perhaps some of them even fall into the same category as another service provider.
Yeah, definitely. I love that. So good. And I think something that like people wait too long to do in their businesses. So I totally agree with you. Like start there, start asking right away. Like you don't have to wait to set up referral partnerships until you've created this huge network. Like you get to start doing that to build your network.
Yeah. And it's funny, I'm looking now, it's like so easy to even connect with people now because of like the Facebook entrepreneur world. And so I mean, you can get to that point quite easily. And I actually feel like there's going to be more and more people who are doing this sooner rather than later. So, I think establishing those partnerships and those connections is important, especially as, I know we have like this online coaching and entrepreneurial world, but I think it's just also a shift in the economic structure of the world because of the internet. And so I see that like more and more people are going to start coming into this space, which we've already seen immensely in the past 5 years. So I think it's important to set up things like that so that you have your tight-knit group. And
definitely that you're growing with, right?
Yeah, totally.
And you're all bringing each other up and along with you as like more and more people come into this space. I totally agree. Like you want that tight knit support network that you're growing with.
Yeah, it goes back to like what I said that IGC or Inner Glow Circle says, like work for yourself but not by yourself. We need people. I don't care how many people think they can do it alone. Like you're going to get bored. B, you're going to get burnt out. Burnt out is not sustainability. You're going to go back to a 9 to 5. That's the life cycle. No, that was a little bit dramatic, but you know what I'm saying? Like we need the people in our lives who they support us as friend, as colleague, and also as lead source. And why not?
Beautiful. Love that. Okay. So reach out to your network, create referral partnerships. What's number 3?
Number 3 is basically everything that we introed with and 1 and 2. And it's like how you keep all that glue together. You have to just be a human being who cares about people and who follows up with people and who nurtures connections. And I know we hear this all the time, like nurture your email list, nurture your Facebook group, but also nurture the people in your life who really care about your business and who care about what you're doing.
I love that. Yes.
Be a human. Stop being an avatar. But no, like really it's nurturing and following up with leads. Like I mentioned, past prospects, clients. I have clients that I completed with 2 years ago that I still check in with. I still check to see what they're up to. I'll hop on the phone with them for 15 minutes and see what's going on. I've gotten referrals from them without even asking for it because I care and I want to stay in connection and in conversation with these people. If you ask my assistant, she'll laugh because I have a whole folder called people to follow up with. And I literally like have her like tell me, where in my rotation I am every like 4 to 6 weeks or so. So I can like go through and see who I haven't checked in with in a while. There's obviously a lot of high-tech systems that manage this, like Infusionsoft, Ontraport and stuff, but I'm actually talking about human connection here. I'm talking about like people who you've connected with that, would like to hear from you again, and just popping in and saying how they are. Like, I think you plant seeds throughout the course of your business, and when you really water them, this is when they grow either into clients or into great, lead sources for your referral partners. So all about love is number 3.
Definitely. And I think it's like, I think what people get like where we could get tripped up is right. Like is you're saying it's all about love, but you're saying it's purposeful and it grows your business. And it's like both.
Yeah. Right? I love my business and I love my leads.
Exactly. Yes. So it's kind of like, yeah, we're not going in with an agenda, but at the end of the day, it grows our business. So I'm not following up or doing this because it's my agenda. I'm doing it because I'm a good human that loves other humans. On the other hand, it also grows my business. So that rocks too. Like it doesn't have to be one or the other. It's always both, right?
Yeah, totally. And I even look at like the friendships that I make now, like, the age old saying, like, you're a culmination of the 5 people you hang out with. Like, yeah, I choose my friends because I love them, but it's also strategic. Like, I know if I hang out with you and other really powerful, loving entrepreneurs, that's who I get to embody. I know if I hang out with like other people who want to like do not so savvy things, like that's
not so savvy.
That it like has an effect on us. So it's like, what is my point, Olivia? I just totally lost it. It's the end of the day.
Yeah, like that it grows your business in multiple ways, right?
Yeah,
like just being around great people also grows your business.
It is. And like it's a mix of love and strategy. It is, right? Like if we really, I'm going to nurture the people in my life who bring something powerful to my life and who I also can bring something powerful to. It's giving and receiving at the same time. And to be truthful, if I have like some horrible consultation with someone, or if there's just like something weird, I'm not going to like follow up with them all the time. I'm not like some creeper who's like obsessed with people. I'm just like, hey, we had a really awesome conversation one time. Like, I'd like to keep it going. And of course it's up to people to respond. And they usually do if they actually believe that you care, which don't email people if you don't actually. That's where I said like at the beginning, like if there's an ick factor there, just don't do it. To me, like I am total ENFJ. I really am extroverted to begin with. I talk to people all the time. I love having relationships and friends. And so for me, this just feels really natural. And it doesn't have to be, everyone doesn't have to be super like extroverted or anything. But I think like, even if it's just a small group of people that you stay in contact with and you nurture and you check in with, and, you know, maybe you invite them to something you're hosting. I think it's just the fact that this business, no matter if it's online or in person, is about relationships. And if you're not willing to give in relationships, then you can't expect to receive anything back either.
Amen. I love that. I think that's so true. And I think that's true with like any level of business, right? Whether we're looking at content or referrals or, you know, anything, like we always have to be willing to like show up with love and give before we like can expect to receive. So I love that part of this. And I love that it's like, we're not just nurturing leads or connections for the sake of it. It's like, because it helps grow our business, but also because like that's who we should be as women that want to build women up, right?
Yeah, totally. And I think like, of course it's about money, but it's about something else. Money like is not going to fix your problems. If you have them, they're going to be there with money or not. So you might as well like
maybe
enjoy
even
the
more, maybe even more magnified, right?
More money, more problems. Yeah. But like, it's really about like connecting and enjoying your life. I had the privilege of attending Gabby Bernstein's live manifesting webinar last night, or live stream, whatever it was last night. And she said something and she was like, it's not about chasing like the big goal. It's about the moment. And for me, like my best moments are when I'm like in conversation and when I'm talking to people and when I can help them, or, you know, whether it's advice or friendship or compassion, those are the moments. And so, yes, it's good for business, but it's also just good for your own joy and happiness.
Also just good.
It's just good. I'm in the business of good business. So yeah.
Amen. I love this. Such a good conversation.
Oh, I lost you. I can't hear you.
Oh, did you? Can you hear me?
Oh, there you're back. Yep.
Okay. So kind of just like wrap it up for us one more time, like put it in a little package. Like what are our 3 steps? Where should we start? And kind of like take us start to finish real quick.
Totally. So first step is clear any of the fear that gets in the way of owning who you are and the services that you offer. Step 2, email people, friends, family, anyone in your network who you trust and you love and who you know feels the same about you, and let them know, you know, who you are as a business person, who you're looking to work with, and ask for any connections that they may have. I also might, like, strategic wise, throw in like my program's going to be open until date, so that it puts a little bit of, you know,
pep in their step.
And if you feel called to offer some type of like referral gift, you could mention that as well. Totally up to you. But that's kind of like tapping into your, you know, personal network first. Next, start looking at complementary services to what you offer. Again, like if you're a life coach, it may be a nutritionist, it may be a personal trainer, it may even be a therapist. I don't know, like whoever, whatever complementary services your clients might need, start making really established, trusting, loving connections with these other service providers. So that you can, you know, create a referral partnership there. And number 3 is to put it in your calendar to be following up with your referrers, with your past clients, with your past consultations on a personal level every, you know, couple months or so. Just like Lacey had said, like sometimes people don't even know that we have space in our practice or open calendar for new clients and whatever we may do. And it always helps to not only check in with the people in our lives, but also let them know what we're up to, because you never know who is in need of the service that you have. And it's just a disservice not to talk about it. So
definitely. Awesome. So good. Okay. Thank you so much for being here, for speaking to us on this topic. I think this was so valuable. So tell everyone like how they can find you, how they can get in touch with you. Do you have more information on this that they can consume, and where would they find that?
Yes. Okay. So There were so many questions wrapped into that little nugget.
You're so
I will probably stop by Lacey's group after, and I did create a lovely little giveaway for everyone that basically maps out these 3 steps. So you can see I threw in some examples. I threw in a basic way to organize your leads, and I even threw in a sample email to friends and family, so you don't have to be super nervous. So I will totally share that there. As well as it'll be on my website, which is www.oliviamchapman.com. And I have a little tab on there that says free resources. So you'll be able to find that and other business building resources there. And yeah, feel free to request me on Facebook. Like, we can totally be friends and jam about business and connect. I think I'm down for any type of relationships. And if you want to learn more, feel free to shoot me a message or drop by my website.
Cool. Thank you so much, Olivia. And for anybody watching this, feel free to pop questions below in the comments, and Olivia will answer them and support you.
Yes. Love it. Thank you so much for having me, Lacey.
You're so welcome. All right. Bye, guys.
Talk to you soon.